Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 replay cast. This is going to be a replay from the recently played tournament Cheese-Adelphia. I often don't sort of cast replays that have already been cast by tournaments and such, but this one I thought, I was looking around for replays, and there's honestly not too many games out there that I could get my hands on to cast, and I thought, alright, well this one looks like a good one. It's going to be a Terran versus Protoss on the map Cerulean Fall, and spawning down the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's going to be Avilo. And spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map, playing for Team Flipside, it's MCanning. So I thought, alright, can't resist this. Just got to cast a good old NA Starcraft 2 match. And so just these players both opening up pretty normally, but before I really get on into this cast, I do want to sort of mention, well, for starters, I'm going to be casting a show match early tomorrow. Then sort of secondly, I also just want to, talk a little bit about how I feel about me casting in general lately. I feel like, honestly, lately, I haven't been doing that good of a job casting. I feel like I've been getting a little bit too complacent. So if you guys that do regularly watch the channel, feel free to leave any valid criticism or feedback or anything that you have for me casting, and I will happily listen to it. Because I feel as if the more I've cast lately, the more sort of complacent I've gotten. And it's not really a good thing to ever stop improving, so feel free to leave any feedback or anything. But that small tangent, Avilo just hanging around, checking out for MCanning's expansion. He does see that MCanning went for a Cyber Core first. Goes for one of these cool wall-offs on Cerulean Fall, pylon on the low ground gateway in Cybercore, really prevents the Reaper from easily jumping on in. Meanwhile, MCanning throws up his GLHF Colossus spray, that's such a sick spray, and then Factory on the way for Avilo as he opened up with a double gas. So both these guys delaying their expansions, starting things off. I honestly didn't catch who it was. I know I was on a bit of a tangent there, but I honestly didn't catch who was doing it in response to who, but generally Protoss will delay their Nexus when they do scout that it is indeed a double gas. Avilo gets out his Reaper, keeping it back at home for now. MCanning has a probe out on the map. Eventually the probe does usually dive back on in, so Avilo keeping this back at home is a bit interesting, but then MCanning's Adept also moving across the map, since he did go for that faster cybernetics core. Basically means the Adept gets across the map pretty darn quickly. Avilo's Reaper is now scouting out, checking for anything out on the map. There is a Stargate being built, but it isn't a proxy or anything. It's back on MCanning's side of the base, a very standard starport opening, or Stargate opening, pardon me, and Avilo opening up with a Cyclone. And guys, I honestly don't watch that much of Avilo, but of course his reputation sort of precedes him. So his Cyclone, or his sort of mech play, I honestly don't know if he uses the new Cyclone a lot or anything like that, but most Terrans generally do open up with one. They're very good safety-wise, and then we'll see what else Avilo goes for. He's getting up a starport now. Then he'll likely swap this over, it looks like. There he goes. And so, could be a Raven, could be a Banshee. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Now, this Cyclone, going to be able to catch this Adept, which is a nice find for Avilo. It will shade, but it's not going to be able to get out in time, so that is one dead Adept. The Reaper also still scouting out, so Avilo being very meticulous with his scouting, which is great to see. I mean, knowing is half the battle. Now, Avilo, he did delay his command center a fair bit. MCanning's Nexus was also delayed, so, I mean, it's not terrible that Avilo's base is late, but his does seem to be a little bit later compared to that of MCanning's. Now, MCanning is moving out on the map with two Phoenix, as he did go for the starport, and oh my gosh, is he actually just going to catch this Banshee? It's getting close to popping out if MCanning hangs out, but look at this. Cyclone pops on out, Banshee pops out as well. Cyclone gets lifted up by the Phoenix. It can always be repaired by these SCVs though, and the Phoenix will have to go on home. Now, a Banshee's out on the map, and MCanning has to be ready for this, and I believe he must have scouted that Banshee because he's starting a shield battery. He's getting up another Oracle, which is his detection in order to catch the Banshee. And look at this, even two shield batteries up at the front. So MCanning playing very safe, but behind this, Avilo is just getting up his tech and everything, but actually three Phoenix come on in here. They're going to catch this Cyclone. SCVs are pulled to repair it, but is it going to be enough? Are they going to get here in time? It's going to be so close, and it does go down. That's a nice find for MCanning. These Phoenix really are going unchecked. Another Cyclone pops on out. The Marines will shoo this away, so, I mean, I mean, just the one Cyclone isn't enough to really contest these. Now, the Banshee flies on in, however, there's the double shield battery MCanning can retreat to. Now, it's gonna take a revelation. The Banshee will stay alive, but the shield battery is really doing a good job keeping Avilo, or keeping Avilo's Banshee from getting any damage. Of course, before Avilo moved in, he didn't know the shield battery situation or anything like that. And that's sometimes why people do wait for, say, 2 Banshees before they move on in, because you can one-shot, but of course, StarCraft 2, you're always on the clock, so you want to try and get something done, but good defense from MCanning there, and if we actually look at the units lost, look at that, an SCV, a Banshee, a Reaper, a Cyclone, and a Marine for an Adept, so MCanning being pretty efficient. That's the nature of Phoenix, though, but here he comes on in, double Oracle, 3 Phoenix, sharking about. Missile turrets are getting into position for Avilo, so he's playing very defensive. Getting a Magfield Accelerator as well, so he's going to really be relying on these Cyclones, it looks like. Getting up another factory now. And MCanning, he is seeing that Avilo is playing very defensively, so what you do when your opponent is sort of defending, you expand. That's the general rule of thumb. Now, Oracle still sharking about. Phoenix flying on in. Avilo, lots of turrets and everything up, though, so these Phoenix not going to be able to get too much done. However, this definitely is a bit of an investment from Avilo, so his economy isn't going to be fantastic or anything. He's getting up 3 more factories. That's really what he can afford. Getting up an armory as well. And then we'll see how Avilo's going to play this, whether he is going to play that defensive style. While Mech, it's had some recent changes, and it's arguably better. In my opinion, it still is not that great in the late game versus Protoss. That's why we don't see a lot of pro players turtling to ultimate late game Terran. So Avilo, he still may want to hit some sort of timing attack as he's building up a lot of Cyclones. And then we'll see. I mean, Stasis Ward's going down for MCanning. However, these Cyclones, I mean, they're pretty darn good. They put out a lot of damage, but they're definitely very glass cannony. And MCanning, he's getting up charge, he's getting up a lot of gateways, and Zealots and Phoenix, pretty hard counter to Cyclones. This one Oracle does get locked onto, but MCanning gets it onto the high ground, keeps it safe. Avilo throwing up a turret at his 3rd base location, so maybe just wanting to secure a 3rd base relatively soon. Getting up mines as well. I really love Widow Mines in a Mech composition. They're very good. Or poor Banshee does get picked off there, unfortunately for Avilo, so not going to be able to ever get on in with that. Meanwhile, MCanning just macroing up. Avilo has yet to start his 3rd base. There it goes, though. And now MCanning, he is still just on 3 bases for now. He's making a lot of units here, and looks like he will lose one of these Oracles. Maybe the other one's going to get tagged. Not quite, keeping that alive. But Avilo, he's moving out on the map, it looks like. And honestly, I think this is pretty darn ambitious. Possibly an overstep for Avilo. I mean, Cyclones are very good, but Phoenix, look at that. They just lift him up, and now the army on the ground is actually going to be able to definitely shut those down, maybe catch the rest of Avilo's army, which is also revealed. These mines are not revealed, so the Widow Mines get decent connections on the Zealots, but Avilo has to retreat now. He's got to get everything into position to get ready to receive this potential attack from MCanning. We'll see how far MCanning decides to take this. Maybe he'll try and cancel the 3rd base. There's a lot of Cyclones out for Avilo back at home, so he will be able to shut this down for now, but that 3rd base is going to be exposed, so he's not going to be able to save that. Probably not die, but yeah, this 3rd base is under fire. Immediately, Avilo throws up another CC, which I love to see, sort of planning ahead, but that CC is canceled. Hellion dives on in there, takes one for the team, gets caught in that stasis ward. However, Lock-on's going down, the Oracle's going to go down, a Phoenix going to go down, so a nice find there for Avilo. However, his 3rd base was delayed significantly, and MCanning definitely going to have an economy lead now. Drilling Claws is on the way for Avilo, so prepared to make more Widow Mines if you can. They build pretty darn quickly, and go throwing up another CC. I love to see this coming out of a meching player, coming out of a Terran, or really anyone in general. If you can manage it, double expand. It's just, if you're possibly going to lose a base, have another one on hand. Yeah, it's an investment, but the later a game goes on, the more feasible it is to go for an investment like that. Now, MCanning's still lurking about this one Hellbat, not choosing to follow his Hellion companions there. Now, MCanning, he's getting up a robotics bait. Disruptors are a possible counter to Mech. They're pretty decent versus Cyclones. They're alright versus siege tanks. It really comes down to how you use them. As that's the case with a lot of units in StarCraft 2, but The Disruptors definitely are the most extreme case of that. Now, the third base, and also fourth base for Avilo, we'll see if he floats this one over. Should be doing that pretty darn soon, but he's also getting up a lot more turrets, even building a supply depot wall. So Avilo is playing this very, very safely. However, these two Cyclones he was moving out, when they get caught, he scouts a Warp Prism knowing that there's potentially going to be a counterattack or a drop or something like that. But for now, oh no, for Avilo, this actually third base. Oh man, this is rough for him. This third base was almost done, but it gets canceled. Couldn't lift off because it wasn't quite done building. So that's actually a fantastic find for MCanning. Like that's just seconds, unfortunately, for Avilo. But that was an extra base, so he is now gonna have a third base up at least. That's why he double expanded. Now Zealot's getting on into his main base. Avilo will see if he can shut this down. Cyclones need to lock onto that Prism, shut that down. A lot of Zealots are warping on in here. However, I mean, trading out with Cyclones can be pretty good for him. The Warp Prism gets shut down, but he doesn't just throw everything away there. He traded out. Now, MCanning deciding to push into the front of Avilo, but so far not able to break him. Disruptor, Blink on the way, Stargate on the way for MCanning. Meanwhile, he tried to push in, but so far Avilo's staying alive. I mean, this game, it would not be a bad position for Avilo. He's actually up on supply for now, as in MCanning's investing in a lot of tech, but I think this would have been a fine position for Avilo if, say, he had managed to keep that fourth base alive. As MCanning, he has committed a fair bit to this ground army that hasn't got too much done. Now, he is planning for later on in the game. He's teching into these Tempests, and Tempests are very mobile. Disruptors on the way as well, so gonna rely on those. And Disruptor or sort of AoE and Tempest pair very well together because you can force your opponent to make a misstep. But look at this, Avilo going for a Hellion run by. Blue Flame Hellions versus Protoss do very well versus probes. We don't see that every day, but it definitely gets the job done. So far, 13 probes have gone down. MCanning taking a beating on his economy. All these Hellions will be cleaned up, but that's still nice for Avilo. He also scans the Tempest, scans the double Robo. Not sure if he knows of the Disruptors yet, but still, getting those probes, it's a nice blow for Avilo. I don't dislike how he's playing this. This is not going badly for him. A Ghost Academy on the way as well. Ghost, very good. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of them. Of course, they're very good versus High Templar, but Disruptors really don't care if they're EMP'd. They still can deal that massive damage. Taking the shields off of a Protoss army in general can be very strong, and who knows, maybe he'll go for nukes. But Avilo building up more Cyclones, building up Vikings to counter these Tempests. Cyclones are actually very good versus Tempests, so it really will come down to how MCanning uses his Disruptors to protect them. He's also getting into Carriers, which is nice to see. The Carriers, they're pretty decent versus what Avilo's going for. Vikings, not the best counter to him. Cyclones, it really comes, once again, it really comes down to how the engagements goes. Now, Avilo, he's getting up this third base. He's turning it actually into an orbital, wants that extra energy to be able to scan and drop mules. Now, I'm not sure if he knows this army is incoming. He actually must have caught wind of this, though, because he's moving all of his Widow Mines, and this is a ton of Widow Mines. We'll see how he splits these up, though, because a Disruptor shot or two could really punish Avilo right now. And oh my god, that Disruptor kills off 7 Widow Mines or so. Oh my god, that was a fantastic shot. Now, the tank should be able to prevent MCanning really from diving on in here, but he still has those more mobile Tempests. Looks like Avilo was moving out with these Cyclones, actually going to catch a Carrier there. That's a nice find for him. Keeping his third base alive, forcing MCanning back. Now, Avilo also teching into Banshees as well while this is going on. That's interesting. He does have Cloak for him, though, so you never know what you can find. Lots of cannons up at every base, though, just to be safe. So, don't think there's too much for MCanning to worry about from those. But Avilo, tanks, mines, Vikings, I don't mind this. Now, as I said before, late game, I think Protoss can play pretty darn well versus late game Terran, but there still is a lot of timings Terran can push. Sometimes Protoss just doesn't have the right tools. I mean, tanks are pretty darn good. Vikings, if they can counter all the Tempests, gonna be pretty darn good. So Avilo, he could have a pretty strong army. He's currently up to 9 tanks, 10 Vikings. Widowmine gonna connect with a Stalker there. I mean, Widowmines, they're pretty cheap, so trading out for your hitting one Protoss unit is generally pretty fine. Now, Avilo, he's still building up this army, getting up a Raven as well, more Vikings. Now, like I said, timings can definitely work versus Protoss, but just sitting back indefinitely cannot, in my opinion. These 2 Banshees are going to be found. One of them goes down. Now, he does see this army of MCanning, but MCanning's army is not too scary for Avilo. Honestly, I don't think so. it really will come down to the engagement. MCanning's moving on in here, but a lot of tanks are set up. And now we'll see. I mean, he's hanging out. MCanning taking a 5th base now. Definitely good to see that. I mean, Avilo has just been sitting back, so definitely expanding is a good choice. Now the Temp is poking and prodding for now. An Oracle on the way will be able to reveal that army, allow the Tempest to abuse their range more easily, or use their range more easily, I should say. Now, more turrets going on up here for Avilo. And he's getting close to max. I mean, Avilo is actually maxed out now, so it's getting to the point in which we do need to see him start to take a fight, because sitting back is not the answer for Avilo. Taking a fight definitely is what he needs to go for, so we'll see. I mean, we should be... Maybe he's just waiting for MCanning to really push on into him, but you cannot sit back too long as Avilo, because time isn't really on his side as this game goes. He can still take a very strong fight, but I mean, MCanning really is getting a lot of tools at his disposal, and that is scary. Now, there actually was this 1 or 2 ghosts in this army. EMPs would be huge because MCanning's really clumped up right now. Oracle, though, reveals part of this army. Tempest coming on in, but the Tempest are very weak these days, so Vikings can really volley them down. Looks like we'll see at least one of them go down, and we do. Vikings shooting away as well, however, they are revealed, I believe, or no, they're actually not. Cyclone's moving forward, we'll see. Locks onto an Oracle. I don't know if he'll be able to get it. No, he's not. And the army of MCanning, both these armies actually really are just so control dependent. Disruptors, carriers, Tempests, so we'll see. I mean, Avilo, like, he can't just sit back and get whittled back here. This is the strength of the Protoss right now. The Tempest, they're very mobile, but Avilo, he needs to take a fight, but really has to respect the Disruptors. So what's he gonna do? I'm honestly not sure. I mean, he's got all these tanks. He's got a ton of Widow Mines. His Vikings definitely want to trade out with these Tempests. The problem is, MCanning pulling back every time, doing a very good job of this. Now, MCanning gonna reveal this army once more, just keeping that going. Disruptor shoots out a Nova, but not finding anything. MCanning on 5 bases for now. Avilo still is on his healthy 4. We'll see if he tries to secure another at some point. I would love to see MCanning maybe throw up another Nexus while this is going on, but for now he's doing a good job poking Avilo with what he has. I'm not sure what else Avilo should build from this point. He's making like a Banshee. I'm not sure what he should be building at this point either. I mean, Banshees are not horrible units, but I'm not sure they're what he needs. He's got all these mines. He wants, if he had the ability to, he'd happily trade out versus this army, but MCanning's doing a good job with the mobility. Vikings catch an Oracle, which is nice. However, Avilo, he just trading out, it's not really going to work for him. MCanning's got a huge bank right now, and the Tempest are doing a good job. Yeah, these Tempests gonna fly right on in. Looks like they're gonna pop off a siege tank. Very well done. Ravens are also gonna be able to drop anti-armor missiles in this, but if we see resources lost, it's just gonna get worse and worse for Avilo. Now, MCanning still on his doorstep, walks forward into the tanks every now and then, but so far there's just not an answer for Avilo. He's moving forward with his mines. He's unsieged his tanks, so it looks like he may be deciding to go for it. And, oh, gonna catch one of the Oracles. And so far, he's forced MCanning back a little bit. Gonna lose a Ghost, though, and actually some Vikings, which is a pretty big loss. That was essentially a full energy Ghost there. And you still got the 1 for an EMP, but there is High Templars in this army, so they can Psystorm, and that's partially why Avilo's being so careful. Disruptor goes out. That last Ghost actually does go down. It landed in an EMP, but nothing too major. Now, Avilo's looking to go for it, but there's Disruptors, there's Psystorms in this army. He needs to take a fight. He needs to do something. He cannot just sit back in this situation. I think he's kind of unsure of what to do at this point. Now, MCanning's walking forward a little bit, eats an anti-armor missile, so that army definitely more vulnerable than it was. So MCanning gonna back off. Avilo has bought himself a little bit of time. Now MCanning still only on 5 bases. I'd love to see him secure another base while this is going on. He's got the money. Expand more if you can. Get up more production and everything now. For now, though, he's still confident enough just to poke and prod with this army. Avilo's made a lot more Vikings, but the Psystorms are definitely going to be concerning for him. Like, in a head-to-head air fight, he would win, but the Psystorm support really is the big challenge he has to overcome. Avilo's securing a 5th base while this is going on. So, changing location here. MCanning looks like he's going to be poking this spot now. Widow Mines are set up to stall this army a little bit. Gonna get a connection or two, which is nice. We'll end up getting cleaned up though. Avilo, I mean, his army supply is just fine right now. His upgrades aren't bad. Eats a few Psystorms on this, though. The Ghost wants to land an EMP. Maybe Avilo does just need to land a Ghost or land an EMP, then go for it with his pretty much entire air fleet. Now, he's actually going for a base trade, it looks like. Avilo just saying enough is enough. He's moving on out. Looks like he picked something off there, but MCanning knows, so he basically knows that he can push on in. He may just decide to recall. Avilo already pulled SCVs to repair this planetary to buy time, and they're auto-repairing that refinery. Now, Avilo producing more and more, but he's pushing across the map, gonna land the Vikings. They're actually a huge part of this army for Avilo, and Vikings have pretty good DPS, but we are heading into a full-on base trade right now. MCanning working to win this planetary. It does go down. There's not too much static defense for Avilo to buy time. I think he needs to be producing something like mass mines back at home. But he's just continuing on with this push as it goes on. However, MCanning really had the heads up on this base trade. He had more time for this. Avilo's diving right on into the natural, going towards the third base. A High Templar is going to get picked off. No Psystorm going down, but Avilo's losing a lot of his bases right now. He does. How many SCVs does he have out on the map? Okay, he's got a fair few out on the map. Army supply. MCanning has the lead, but Avilo's snuffing out some of these bases right now. Oh, there's DTs, though, for MCanning, working when these Vikings. A scan goes down, but they already picked off so many of these units. And they might actually not die to this. Yeah, they're somehow actually staying alive, picking off all those tanks and Vikings. Very well done. This bit of the army was without the Raven support. Avilo has the Raven, but it's not enough. Now back at home, Avilo is making Banshees, he's making more Vikings, but the supply really is in favor of MCanning at this point. Avilo still has a lot of Vikings, and he's moved across the map. He's done his fair share of damage, but MCanning saying, all right, I did a lot of damage to you. I'm just going to take out this army now as he's retreating back, and we'll see. Avila's bled off a few units pushing in. He's going to land the Vikings, but MCanning's coming back home with everything. So this army, all these Vikings unsieged, are about to be hit by Tempests and Carriers as they come on in. Avila's got a few more Vikings out, but he's in a fair bit of trouble. He's going to get this base at least, which is nice. He's done a lot of damage to MCanning's economy. MCanning actually going to lose potentially all of his probes here. He's literally got one probe out on the map, and in fact, he's making another. A little bit worried that he could potentially be forced into a base race right now, like a full-on base race, but so far, both these players still having a few bases. Vikings for Avilo running away. Hellbats waddling. Lots of Zealots here to intercept this, though. So these Hellbats are going to get picked off. The rest of the army for Avilo is running, but these Tempests are pursuing right now. MCanning, his air army, is definitely going to be winning out at this point. He's looking to pursue this force, and what does Avilo have back at home? He had a bit of a bank, but that's pretty much gone. He doesn't have much of an income. It looks like these Vikings landed to pick off a Nexus, and he gets it, but these units are now going to be in trouble. They're not being pulled back. Avilo is going to be losing these forces. The Vikings are going to lift up, maybe try and get a bit of damage done, but they're not going to be able to get anything done. Looks like Avilo decided to send the Banshees into the main base. They're not really being focused on anything, and there is a cannon being built. He needs to pick that off, because what's the detection here for MCanning? It's like the Oracles do reveal those Banshees, though, and suddenly Avilo's in a pretty rough spot right now. His army just not up to stuff, and it looks like MCanning is going to move on in, and I think that means he pretty much has it. Avila's floating over a base to try and get his economy back on track, but MCanning not giving him the time of day. Vikings moving out. Okay, Avilo with a few words before tapping out. GG, MCanning manages to take it. Not the most surprising result there, but Avilo, I think he had a very good showing that game, all things said. Like, it's just he was whittled down a little bit too much there, but sort of the start of the games, like, say he didn't lose that CC earlier on, he would have had a much stronger economy. And MCanning's economy, while, I mean, he did have a lot of bases. Guys, this is just your PSA. If you've got a few thousand minerals floating in the bank, take an extra expansion or two. But still, MCanning definitely played that game incredibly well, all things considered. And yeah, if you guys did enjoy this cast, I was just wondering, all right, what game am I going to cast? Because sometimes there's not too many replays out there. And I thought this one should definitely be a good one. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy it, feel free to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, as I'm always putting out more StarCraft 2 content. I'm actually doing a show match tomorrow on my Twitch, which is linked in the description. That'll be around 5 a.m. Pacific, so very early, 8 p.m. East Coast, 2 p.m. Central, and 10 p.m. KST. But yeah, if you guys enjoy the content, I'll see you guys next time.